Stahl.
It's time to get educated on your Second Amendment right. Welcome to 2 full hours of Gun Owners Radio. Your hosts, Dave Stahl, Joe Dramisi, and Michael Schwartz, will teach you about firearms, self-defense, and the laws that affect your rights to keep and bear arms. Visit gunownersradio.com with questions to learn how to become a sponsor of Gun Owners Radio and get involved. Together, we will win. Now, here's your hosts, Dave Stahl, Joe Dramisi, and Michael Schwartz on The Answer San Diego.
All right. Welcome, everybody.
You don't have any sound?
Oh, I got sound. I got nothing to look at.
Well, don't look at me. God, you want everybody to do everything for you. Jeez Louise.
Tell me what I'm supposed to say.
Did you hear Brendan's new intro? That was awesome, Brendan.
No, you'll have to play it again. You going to play it at the next break?
Yeah, there's the second one. I think it's much better than this first one here, but you know.
I like this.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Rich, could you grab one of these for the kid?
I can grab another one, yeah.
All right, very good. Hey, folks.
Let's do a radio show.
This is Gun Owners Radio, FM 96.1 AM 1170.
The Answer.
Hey, folks, do you feel safe? Are you protected? Well, it's time to take ownership of your self-defense journey. The U.S. Concealed Carry Association believes the key ingredient to being a responsibly firearms owner is proper training and education. USCCA offers comprehensive training that helps you avoid danger while keeping you and your loved ones safe. More than 650,000 responsibly armed Americans like you have made the responsible decision to take control of protecting themselves and their family. Get hands-on training from certified instructors. You can learn how to avoid danger, defend yourself, and protect your loved ones. Take responsibility for your own safety and visit uscca.com/GOR.
Welcome. USCCA is our new sponsor. Appreciate the sponsorship. Looking forward to hearing
and the bonus
from USCCA.
is you might get trained by the kid on the right here.
That's right. Joe,
That's right.
USCCA instructor.
Can they request you?
And you'll know when I'm training.
Can they request you?
Of course they can.
No, not you.
How does
Can
that work?
they?
How does that work? You just get. How does it work?
What it is, when I decide I want to do a class, I just put it up on their website. So I give the information, the time, the date, the location, and people sign up for it.
But USCCA, you're a certified pistol instructor, firearms instructor. How
With
does that
them,
work?
yeah, it's a certified handgun instructor. I think with them.
Nice.
Okay. So I'm just saying, like, if somebody wants to have you train them, all they have to do is once you post your classes, go to USCCA.
Yeah,
and then,
so USCCA doesn't have a database, say, of trainers. It doesn't work like that. What it works, if you're one of their trainers, you can, I'm going to do a defensive pistol class, and I'm going to do it at...
So how do I go and get you as my instructor?
Right, so I would have to be offering a class. So if I'm offering a class up there, you could look up there and say, oh, Joe's teaching. Okay, he's got this class on this date. I'll sign
But
up.
if they just contract you to teach a class, then...
Yeah, it's not that. It's
on Joe.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
more. It's all up to the instructors.
Well, because I had a couple people ask me.
Mm-hmm.
They certify. So you wouldn't go to USCCA to get the instruction, but they do post, like, if you're a USCCA certified instructor, they post.
Well, I'll bet you if they go to sdcgo.org and on the comment box,
sdcgo.org,
and on the comment box say, when is Joe teaching a class? And then if you get enough responses,
I could teach a class.
then you could go to these guys and say, or not even go to them, just teach your own class.
Yeah, we just post the class up there.
right.
It's a good way to get that out. It's a good way for people to, see what's available
Gotcha.
locally.
Okay. Didn't mean to belabor it, but I thought it was important.
So if you were up early this morning, you saw me and then shortly after Dave on KUSI. It was KUSI.
That's right. KUSI. You sound like Howard Stern now. I love that part.
WNBC.
I knew you would know it. I knew it. But back to seriousness. KUSI did bring you in.
Yeah. Talked about they wanted to talk about concealed carry and the relationship to the roster, the safe handgun roster. It's pretty interesting how they're really interested in tying that together, which in essence what it means is that CCWs have gotten really popular over the last 20 years, Joe?
Yeah.
It's really kicked off, right?
2.5.
No.
In San Diego,
it has been growing.
It's been about 3-4 years, but over the last 20 years, that's become very, very popular. And I mean, if you look back before that, the big popular guns were, a Glock 17, a 92, a Beretta 92, a 1911, which really aren't concealable. They're really made for sitting in a holster on either a cop or military. So in the last 20 years, they started making a lot more concealable handguns. Glock 19, of course, is compact, but then they started going subcompact with Glock. The Hellcat's been real popular, so they've made a lot of these concealed carry handguns, but you can't get them in California because of this handgun roster. So they wanted to hear all about that. So I did a segment. We'll post it up on our website probably tomorrow. But if you were up early, you get to see me talk about that, and then you get to see Dave review a.
I was reviewing a Mazda CX-30, but I have to go back to your interview because unfortunately there was a lady in there chatting away with, and I didn't get a chance to really listen to the whole thing.
No.
But Jason was blown away.
Yeah,
Not only
good.
did he enjoy it, but he was educated because he had no idea what you were saying was what's really going on. And I don't think anybody out there, unless you're in the industry, would ever put the two together.
Yeah, well, so the roster situation is there's so much nuance. It's so complicated, that it's hard to explain. It's hard to kind of walk people through and connect the dots. But it's a huge problem.
And you and I talked, which I thought I had never even thought of it. But if you're at a gun range in San Diego, and you go, okay, can I take a look at that one? Oh no, can't be sold in California.
Yeah.
Oh, well, how about that one?
Can't be sold to you in California.
Yeah.
There are certain people,
certain
here
military
that
and
can
police
buy it.
officers. But the point is, why display them if you can't?
well-
buy 'em?
Well, because police officers buy guns.
Yeah, because cops buy it. But the other thing is a lot of the gun stores display them to get that, so they get that question and they can tell them, well, here's what the problem is, and it helps them educate. But honestly, I don't know. Joe, what do you think? 4? I mean, there are really only 4 concealed carry options in California. 4 guns.
Yeah, pretty much, I think. And you see, the M&P Shield, people carry the Glock 19,
Glock 26
everybody
or
carries,
19,
or 26 if you want something smaller.
Yeah.
But it's a shame.
SIG's got is it a 365, I think? Is there?
Yeah, but again, the 365 is what everybody wants, but that
Or not 365.
365 is not on the roster.
There's a SIG, I forget the model number, and then there's a KAHR, KAHR. And then that's like it, man. Wow. I carry a 19 and a 30, but I don't know. They're both considered compact.
Well, it's like you were saying, though. It's unfortunate. Like with the Hellcat, it's very popular around the country, except for here. And the other thing is, you were talking about the M&P Easy, which, I mean, that's a real thing for people. If you don't have the hand strength for whatever reason to rack these slides sometimes on the 9mm, they specifically design that to make it a little bit easier for people with that issue.
Yet we're not allowed to sell it.
No, you can't buy it out here.
That is the crux of the Rena case, RENA, Rena versus Bonta. That's the lawsuit that's going to get rid of this. It's going to get rid of the roster. And Lana Rena is she was trying to get a Smith & Wesson EZ and can't. She's got some grip strength issues, and she can't get that out here. So it's almost an ADA thing, right? At that point,
It's terrible.
Yeah, it really is a shame. We had a woman, because we did the Women on Target event today at the Lemon Grove Rod and Gun Club, and we had a woman that had a revolver, and she couldn't really shoot her revolver, so she wanted to try, one of our revolvers there. But first time I've ever seen this, she could not pull the trigger back, and even on we tried it with a Beretta that was a double single action semi-auto, and just did not have that finger strength. And for people like that, you're limited as to what you could look at, because if you go, if you're in Arizona or somewhere else, there's thousands of guns to pick from. You can find something that works for you, and out here we're limited, and it's a shame because it hurts people like that.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit about we're going to talk a lot about a lot of things, but we're going to talk about the lawsuit, then of course the CCW database breach. Joe Jamisi is going to interview Lee Williams, right?
Yes.
And then we're going to have Dallas from San Diego Guns in the studio, and then he's coming in the studio.
All right.
And then also wanted to throw a shout out to Corvette Kelly from Oklahoma. Technician Chauncey says hello, and thanks for listening to the show.
Cool. Appreciate it.
I can't say anything. I don't have any
There you
paper.
go. I asked.
Oh, here we go.
There you go.
The Empire strikes back after the win for freedom with the Bruen case. California's Department of Justice doxed CCW holders. Criminals who want to target someone who owns a firearm now have a list to use. So Identity Thieves now have a list of Identity Thieves now have a list of thousands of easy targets.
Pulling a Biden over there.
Well, that was not nice.
All right, I'm sorry.
Hey, if you have legal matters that involve firearms, then you need to call California firearms lawyer John Dillon. If you have questions about red flag laws, gun registration, gun transportation, or maybe you just need to know that your guns are California compliant, call our trusted firearms attorney, John Dillon. John specializes in California gun law. Call 760-642-7150, or you can visit his website at dillonlawgp.com.
Just had lunch with John on Friday. John, if you're listening, thanks, buddy. Always a pleasure. Hardest working Second Amendment attorney in the whole world.
Yeah, and he's going to get a whole lot busier.
He's getting a whole lot busier.
Yeah,
that's the idea. So one of the things, talking to John, I wanted to touch on is, they have this new stupid law that you can't market firearms to in a way that looks like you're marketing them to kids. And I think that Joe and I were talking about this before the show. I think some of the clubs, Lemon Grove Rod and Gun and South Bay and some of the organizations, some of the clubs out there that are offering, like a youth shoot are overreacting. You can still advertise, but here's what we're going to do. If you want to advertise, email me your advertisement. Like, hey, this is the flyer. This is what we want to say. And that's michael@sdcgo.org. And we'll get it in front of John. And there is a way you can still promote, like a youth shoot without breaking the law. So I think a lot of people, understandably,
Where
by the
did
way.
that one come from? I didn't even hear that one come in.
Oh, I know. It was kind of sneaky. But it's bad. And, there's going to be a lawsuit and, all the usual mess. But don't worry. It'll things will be all right. But, it's like I said, you can promote like a youth shoot legally.
But you can understand their
100%
frustration, and it's like, geez Louise, where do you guys come up with these ideas?
No, it's so stupid.
And that's all they're doing. It's the old adage, if you throw enough against the wall,
right,
something's got to stick.
I mean, what do they think? I mean, kids, I don't understand what they think. And they're using the, the idea, it's you can't, remember when Joe Camel got in trouble back in the 80s, because they were marketing cigarettes to kids? And I, of course, argue that cigarettes are, it's not even arguable.
Yeah.
They absolutely are bad for people.
Yeah.
It was, scientifically been proven. They're addictive, et cetera, et cetera. Firearms aren't. Firearms aren't bad for people. In fact, they're good for people. They save people's lives every day.
How many? What was that number?
2.5 to 3 million people, somewhere around there,
are saved
that use a firearm to stop some kind of violent attack every year.
Yeah, and if you read the language in that bill that we're talking about, it's just because I was reading that this morning, just because I was looking for the thing about the youth programs and stuff like that. But the way they describe firearms and the danger that firearms pose to to young people and stuff like that, it's just you look at it, it's disgusting, is what it is. I mean, the way they describe that stuff. And it's unfortunate we let it get to that point, but we're fighting back now.
But don't you think that's a throw against the wall and see what sticks mentality?
Yeah, they're going to do that kind of stuff too. But I mean, it's anything. And I think Newsom said he'll sign anything. Send me any anti-gun bill and I'll sign it.
Right.
And I think it's just they don't want people to own firearms for different reasons. And it has nothing to do, I don't think, with public safety or crime or anything like that.
Well, they can't
just
control you if you have a gun.
No, that's what I was going to say. But yes.
I can say it, and I know it's controversial. But, I mean, what other logic is there?
No, that's where it's
going.
Well,
when you say that, though, Dave, I think, there's kind of a literal obvious, meaning. But it's really, it's a little bit more of a a proxy thing too. If they can, firearms are your self-defense, your ability to use lethal force
and protect yourself.
And if they can control that, then they can control anything.
Well, right, exactly.
So it's not, but I guess when some people, hear something like that, like, hey, if I have a gun, if they take my gun, they have this, they envision like you're just going to stand there with your shotgun and stop the world from coming. I get that. I understand. But really what it means is, hey, if they can take that right away from you, or if they can legislate it and control it into completely being meaningless, then what can't they do?
So does that mean I have to take my fortification down in front of my house?
No, I encourage your fortification.
Because I got artillery. Okay, I am so ready.
But really, it's like, all right, well, and so often in legal arguments, you see like, hey, well, we control this like this, and we control that like that. So why can't we control
this like this?
This like that? Yeah. So that's really, really maybe the pragmatic or the functional reasoning when they say, hey, it's the right that defends, all the other rights. I mean, there's kind of a literal.
And who's not to say that all of this is in a book someplace? Okay, if they come up with this, then we're going to go after them with that. You know what I mean? So they have like when you're looking at your troubleshooter book and your owner's manual, and it says if it doesn't start, check this. If it doesn't, it's almost kind of like the same thing.
There's an issue of banning guns for dummies.
Exactly. There's got to be, and the government uses it.
Yeah, well, they're definitely all singing from the same sheet of music. So
isn't that ironic too?
You got to pull it out of some book.
Page 9, paragraph 7. Yeah,
but yeah, crazy. Again, we said it last week. The Bruen case. It's not the end. It's just here's an effective tool for you, in the fight. It's like I don't know. It's like in a movie.
Well,
when
how long has the left been fighting?
How
far back does it go?
Anti-gunners have been around since the 30s,
if not even earlier.
Probably even earlier. Yeah, even earlier. Because if you look at one of the things people think like, well, Wyatt Earp in the Old West and blah blah blah. Wyatt Earp was an anti-gun jerk.
Yep.
I mean, he was going to take guns from people.
Not really.
That's what that OK Corral thing.
Here comes that Wyatt Earp guy.
Right. Yeah,
he was going to collect their guns.
Extremely limited, and it was doing what they do now. It was against his enemies. That kind of stuff. Because I was just reading a big article on that too. No, it was around. I mean, that kind of stuff was extremely limited around the West because anti-gun people like to point to that. Oh, there's lots of cities, Dodge City and places like that had anti-gun laws, and they really did. They had them for different little sections of town, like where all the saloons were, because it was wild.
But you had to check your guns at the city line.
Yeah, but what we're saying is it was not a widespread practice.
No,
it
but
was
I'm
very
just saying,
localized,
but it
went away quickly.
But it was wrong.
It was wrong.
It was wrong.
No, it was wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it wasn't wrong.
I mean,
that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's all.
I agree with you. It was wrong.
Well, because because you go into a town back then, there's not cops everywhere.
Yeah. But I mean, people just point at Wyatt. I don't think people really know the full story of Wyatt Earp. There was a little bit more than the movie in the '90s where they,
too much TV.
Yeah.
But see, the thing of it is too, the people that get frustrated because if they just keep nibbling away at the block of cheese, they just keep nibbling away, and hopefully someday they will have eaten it all.
Yeah.
Well, and that is what's frustrating. I mean, if you look at the bill the Senate just passed, right, a couple of weeks ago, the gun control bill.
Oh, yeah.
It's the same kind of, because we talked about it in here, right? We said, oh, well, it's not too bad except for the red flag part of it. But no, it's a little bit each time. We lose something every single time they do this.
Yeah.
And, and you had the so-called Republicans, John Cornyn.
Wow, he's starting to get anti-Republican over here.
And, I've been frustrated for a while.
You just can't tell. Yeah, that's why we're not partisan. Republicans.
No, we're not.
But John Cornyn?
No, but I'm saying, he's supposed to be a big, he's a big Texas, Second Amendment guy, and he works with these people and crafted this nonsense.
Yep.
And again, what they should be doing because every time we have one of these shootings, you're going to see that kind of stuff. And instead of crafting something like that, when they say, well, we want to have a bipartisan thing and talk to them, what they should say is, okay, if you want to be bipartisan, let's talk about getting rid of these gun-free zones. Let's talk about doing something with the mental health part of it. Let's do something that really might address the issue as opposed to just using it as an excuse for more gun control. And then the Republicans said, well, look, it wasn't as bad. They didn't get everything they wanted. No, they got something.
Oh, but that's typical of but wouldn't you say that if you're going to have a decent conversation on this topic, it should be the Democrats, the Republican, and at least a certain amount of people from the public or from the industry?
Well,
I think the industry needs to be part of this conversation because that's who they're going after.
Yeah, it's just in our system. I mean, it kind of doesn't work. I mean, they should certainly be hearing from industry and stuff like that. But
so let's say the third wheel doesn't make a law, but before they make their decision, that third part of the wheel should be heard.
Yeah, and you would hope it would be researched like that on both sides.
Yeah,
but
not
the problem
politics.
is, but they're not trying to solve the problem they say they're trying to solve, and that's the issue. It's disingenuous.
Yeah, it's and I think one of the problems is the government goes so far. People in government, we say that it's kind of a pet peeve. We talk about government like it's your neighbors who are that's who government is.
Yeah.
So people in the government go too far. They make these proposals and then they wonder why we don't trust them. And of course, I think in the next segment we want to talk a lot about the data dump, the CCW doxxing. Yeah. Where everybody with a CCW from about 2010, if you had a CCW between about 2010 and about middle of 2021, which is just less than a year ago, all your information is put out on the internet. All your information, everything. It wasn't your social, but your name, your address, your driver's license number.
Did they have firearms information on there?
Yeah, your firearms information out on the internet. And it's pretty bad. It's about as bad as it gets, So we're going to talk about what that looks like. Everybody's screaming, "All right, well, lawsuit. Let's do it. Let's do a lawsuit." But I want to talk about what that really means.
I almost made the stupidest comment I think I've ever made, but I caught myself.
Uh-oh. Well,
How do you look that information up? How do you look up somebody like that?
Well, it's been taken down now, but it was on the DOJ website.
But that's still the stupidest question I think I could have ever come up with.
You were going to go look to see if your name was there?
Well, yeah. I was sort of Joe doesn't like me much. See, so I want to see if he's turned me in since.
You can call that newspaper. Who was that?
Yeah,
the journalist that posted it.
Oh,
the article you were talking about?
Yeah, some journal, it was some rag up about mid-state, and they did this story on it. Yeah. And the cover was a screenshot of the list. I'm like, well, you guys just put like 47 names out on your
Well, if you're looking for jewelry or fine watches, how does half off sound?
Yes.
It's Leo's half off sale coming up on the 15th and 16th. Save up to 50%. At San Diego's top jewelry shop, Leo Hamels, conveniently located in the heart of San Diego. Visit Leo's showroom at 1851 San Diego Avenue to see their hand-picked line of new jewelry and watches. And when you buy from Leo Hamel, not only will you get the best deal, you will also be supporting the Second Amendment, and you can support the companies that support the site too. It's a no-brainer. Visit the showroom and always get awesome service at Leo's. Visit Leo and his friendly team at 1851 San Diego Avenue, just off 5 Freeway, or you can visit them online at leohamel.com.
Hamel's Jewelry, awesome spot.
Yeah.
So one of the reporters last week, I'm not even sure which one they were talking about, but I think they were talking about that Chicago. There was a shooting in Chicago.
You narrow that.
I know. I'm like, stop the press. Moving
right along.
Well, yeah, but this one happened in a rich white neighborhood, so they cover it.
Well, of course.
There, I said it, everybody.
Yeah.
But it's true. I mean, people are suffering in Chicago, all these illegal, criminals.
Every day.
And nobody cares about that. Nobody wants to help them protect. By the way, I just read that an article about how in Philadelphia, defensive gun uses are spiking, which is good. The people are defending themselves. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I digress.
No, but that's a good little tidbit there.
Totally is. So the reporter was asking me, like, well, gee, what could be done, whatever. And I said, one of the things that could be done is the anti-gun groups could stop standing in the way of progress by preventing effective legislation from happening that would improve mental health, that would improve school security. Instead, all they want to do is ban guns. Mm-hmm. So the day that they stop standing in the way of progress, that's the day something good will happen.
Or it'll at least be the beginning.
Yeah, and it's nobody's phrasing it that way, but they truly are distorting and standing in the way of what really needs to happen.
And don't they pick their words rather carefully?
I believe they do.
So if they haven't even come close to what you just said, it might be intentional.
Well. So we want to talk about...
I can say that because...
There you go.
I'm just a radio DJ.
So the doxing of CCW, folks, we wanted to talk a little bit about that. First off, San Diego County gun owners and Orange County gun owners and Inland Empire gun owners sent out a joint press released letter to the governor and to the Attorney General and to the pro tem of the Senate, basically the head of the California Senate, making some demands. We basically made the case that, hey, look at how dangerous this was, this doxing, all this information. Kind of recapped everything, and basically said it doesn't matter if it's incompetence or malfeasance. It doesn't matter if he told them directly to do this, or if somebody on the staff just thought it was okay because of his inflammatory rhetoric towards gun owners. Doesn't matter. What matters is all this damage is done, and there needs to be a serious investigation, a third-party investigation, not an internal investigation. But we got it to like Senator Brian Jones as well, and in the Assembly, Lori Davies and Marie Waldron, and there's at least a push, an enormous push for a real true investigation of what exactly, a forensic investigation, what exactly happened and why. So that's a good thing. Another part of our letter, we don't want any information that they collect to touch the internet. So if you have to get a license or something like that, or if you have to give them all this information, until we no longer have to do that, they can't store that information on any computer that touches the internet. That's another thing. And I think that's going to gain momentum and hopefully even go national as a preventative measure.
Because that is doable.
It's totally doable. Totally doable. If you're going to force these useless lists, stop compromising my safety and just put it on a computer
and making it the accessible to the internet.
Right.
Jeez Louise.
So we're putting out that letter. Look for the letter. We actually we think we sent it out last Thursday in last Thursday's email. So check it out. I'm sure we'll send it out again. We're going to continue to follow up on it. But I wanted to address, everybody wants us to sue. All right, lawsuit. But you got to, I wanted to point out the difficulty and exactly what are we talking about here? Because you can't just sue somebody because you're annoyed. Mm-hmm. So, and you can't sue the government over almost anything. I mean, it's really, really difficult to sue the government for damages. Mm-hmm. In fact, the first step in suing the government is to ask the government permission to sue the government, which is ridiculous.
And if they think you'll win, guess what?
Well,
you're not going to get it.
It's just very difficult.
But I think I like, if I'm on the same page as you are,
sure,
you're looking to get the people involved so that if this did ever go to court, they'd be aware of it. Because how many things go to court that the general public knows no idea?
Well, the letter, the point of the letter is, first off, we need accurate information. We need to know, was it incompetence or malfeasance? We need to know exactly who did what and why.
But I think you did that so the consumer would be well informed in the event this thing blows up and gets bigger.
Hopefully. But here's the thing. To go to court, like my information was compromised, okay? So my information, my name, my address, all that information was out on the internet. How do I prove I was damaged?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what did that actually cost?
Something would have to have happened to you that relates to that black and white.
Exactly. And it's really, really tough, and it's frustrating, and it's impossible to unring that bell.
Oh,
Yeah. But there are a couple of, like, I'll give you one example. If you, let's say you're in some kind of sensitive industry and you spend $3,000 or $5,000 a year making sure that the internet is scrubbed of your information and on your privacy and that sort of thing, and then they just go do that. Okay, well, that's clearly you were damaged, right? Because you spend all this money every year. Right. So that's an example. But people are mad, and they have every right to be mad. I'm mad.
Well, you were exposed as well, right?
Probably, yeah. I mean, they have my information.
How long have you had your CCW?
This is 5 years now?
Yeah,
going to 5
definitely.
years.
Well, then you're in the same boat.
So, question for you though. Because we were talking about this the other day, and you have to show you were damaged. So, if somebody is the victim of a crime, and it comes out that the criminal found out about them and planned it based on that. But even something a little, less. Well, not less. It's still just as damaging, but a little less dramatic, or maybe more likely. Is, say you work for a woke company and you don't want these people to know, you don't mention your gun ownership or anything, and now your name is out there, somebody sees it, and it costs you your job.
Then you're damaged. That's
then you're damaged.
Is there a recourse there? Could they do something?
Possibly. I know that there are a couple of different organizations that are looking at lawsuits. We're looking at supporting a lawsuit. So CRPA and GOC, GOA are looking at a lawsuit, but I just wanted to explain the complexities, you know? And just because your information's out there, the court isn't going to look at you as being damaged.
Right.
So that's why it's so hard to find plaintiffs. Like, who is actually been, like, I would love to find that person. You know, it's somebody that gets fired because they were
and they're willing
doxxed.
to go through hell.
You know, well, yeah, you know, it's not lawsuits aren't fun.
No, but I'm just saying, you know, and
well, if they lost their job or their career, they've already started to go through that. So.
Right. So they might be mad enough to say, all right,
really
let's rock and roll.
So that's the kind of plaintiff that people are looking for. If you know of a plaintiff, have them contact CRPA, have them contact us. Somebody that's really, truly had damage, you know, like tangible damage. You can't just be annoyed, unfortunately.
Right.
But I think that the more important thing, I don't want to say that. I don't want to say it's more important, but I think an important focus is to make sure that this doesn't happen again. You know, we get rid of lists or we protect lists, and then we make sure that some of the other tangible stuff, like I understand why people are annoyed, but after the CCW victory in court, you know, they're doing all kinds of stuff. They want to see your Facebook page before you get a CCW. They're talking about that. They want to see. They want to make every
supposedly
place
that
free.
passed in New York.
It did pass in New York. So that's the kind of stuff. So if you're, you know, that's the kind of stuff that's going to affect the future. I'm not saying that there's nothing. You know, I don't want to marginalize what happened with the doxing.
Well, if New York did that, I'm glad to see now they're going to do voter ID.
Yeah, what I didn't hear.
Well, of course you didn't.
Yeah.
My point is,
I see.
You made such a big deal to do that to get all my soaps, but no, I don't want to see your ID for voting. You're right ahead, sir. No.
So that's what that looks like, guys. I wanted to go over it and explain. Well, gee, why haven't we already won? This happened, you know, a week ago. We should have already won. Wow.
Do you think there should be any repercussion? I mean, any punishment to somebody?
Well, they have to find out exactly what happened, but yeah, whether
and what are the chances of that? Because we still don't know who leaked the document out of the Supreme Court.
After you hear that,
yeah.
But again, and I voiced this opinion last week, and it's just an opinion. I don't know, but to me, just based on all the other behavior from this government that we have out here, I would say it was probably intentional. But I mean, I don't know that, but they would.
No, I might have to agree with you.
Repercussions, I mean, they really have to do a serious investigation, which is questionable. But and find out, you know, maybe it was just somebody goofed something up. But you know, talking to software people and people that are in the IT industry, when they go live with things like that, I mean, they check everything. They go through a lot of testing
before they hit the main switch,
just because of this kind of stuff. So,
but here's the thing: if Bonta, the Attorney General, who's elected, by the way, if he hadn't been so hostile towards gun owners just days prior, if he hadn't spent an entire year being hostile to gun owners while he was in the legislature, you know, but because he was irresponsible with his words, because he was adversarial, it's easy to believe. And then it's easy to believe, and that's why you don't act and behave the way he does when you're in a position of power.
Well, it's the same thing with Governor Newsom as well. I mean, you saw the reaction to the Supreme Court ruling.
Yeah.
You know, and the stuff that they said. I mean, they're very hostile toward Americans, law-abiding Americans that own guns out here. And
it was ridiculous. The Bonta's press conference where he was talking about, you know, mass murder and you know, in tying those to CCWs.
Yeah.
I mean, how many CCW holders have, you know, committed some kind of mass murder?
They're just throwing it against the wall.
I'm going to go with 0.
I am too.
You know?
And it just shows you, and you know, the people that really think it out get it. It's the ones that just don't look at both sides of the story. You got to look at both sides of the story.
You're talking about the elected people.
Yeah. Well, those would be the most helpful.
Or the ones that elect them.
I said it before, I'll say it again. If you are treating someone who's elected better than you treat an underperforming employee, or worse than you treat an underperforming, you're probably making a mistake.
That's right. Or you shouldn't be in business.
Yeah,
or you're probably not in business.
It doesn't matter if you're a Republican, a Democrat. It doesn't matter if this person's your neighbor or whatever. Treat all politicians the same way you treat an underperforming employee.
Yeah.
No better, no worse.
And let me know if you can get him to work 300 days a year.
All right, Lee Williams, also known as the gun writer, was recently hired as the Second Amendment Foundation's investigative journalism project.
Ooh.
Joe's going to interview Lee next.
All right, but first, do you ever wish cleaning your gun was easier?
Yes.
I know you do. Clean, lube, and protect your gun with Seal One. Seal One CLP Plus is a natural, non-toxic, and environmentally friendly. You can clean your guns easier and faster. You'll also smell a whole lot better. Hey, one and done with Seal One. Ask for it by name at your local gun shop or get some on their website at seal1.com. That's seal1, the number 1.com. All right, we got Lee Williams on the line. Joe, he is all yours.
We do. So hopefully we have award-winning journalist Lee Williams, so known as the gun writer on his Substack column. And then Lee is also the chief editor of the Second Amendment Foundation's investigative journalism project. So, Lee, are you there with us?
I am, Joe. How are you?
I'm great, Lee, and thank you so much for joining us here. And I want to get something out of the way really early on here because this thing is going to be hanging over me like an axe through the whole interview if I don't ask it now. And I'll apologize ahead of time for having to ask this question, but I got to get it out of the way. So I read somewhere that you're a big fan of the movie Red Dawn.
Oh,
is that true?
Okay, I'm leaving.
I mean, it's a good movie. I don't know how big of a fan I am.
You better be as big as Michael, because say one thing bad about it, you're done.
I think it's probably the best documentary ever made.
See, there you go.
I'll tell you this. I'll say this. The Russian is really good. I speak Russian. The Army taught it to me 100 years ago. So, it's interesting. It's an interesting movie.
So I had to ask that because I picked that up somewhere, and I sit across the desk here from like the biggest Red Dawn groupie in the country. God. So I wanted to get that out of the way before it popped up in the middle of the interview somewhere.
I will say this: there is only one Red Dawn movie.
That's
there you go.
All right, so we have one more question just to see if we can win his heart. Do you like the spaghetti at Denny's?
Don't answer that.
Cut out. Do I like?
The spaghetti.
That's the right answer.
At Denny's.
Okay. Yeah. No.
Wait. Have you ever had it?
No.
Well, then you're just squall. You're just. But this guy, that's another one. He'll talk to you about.
All right, that's enough of that. Let's talk about guns.
All right, let's talk about guns. He's got it for 2 segments.
So Lee, just tell us a little bit about Lee Williams, just for the one or two people that may not have heard of you. What's your background?
Well, typical entry into journalism. I was a policeman for 10 years. Before that, I was in the Army, and then I got into journalism. Did 20 years as a card-carrying member of the mainstream media, 17 of which as an investigative reporter with the title. A lot of people will say, oh, I do investigative reporting. Yeah, sure. And then my last 3 years as editor, I had the only pro-gun blog sponsored by a daily newspaper in the country. And it was great. And then my newspaper chain got purchased by Gannett. And once they found out they had a pro-gun editor who wrote a pro-gun blog, I and the blog were long gone. We also had one of my colleagues had one on UFOs that had an international following. They killed that one too. So after this happened, my good friend Mark Walters at Armed American Radio calls me up and he said, Alan Gottlieb is going to give you a call. Take the call. So Mr. Gottlieb called and said, do you want to be our investigative reporter at the Second Amendment Foundation? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And he said, welcome to the family.
Fantastic.
And it's been fun ever since, man. It's just been the best time I've ever had doing anything. And I've done a few things over the years, but this is working for him. I mean, he is the smartest guy in guns.
Wow.
And Second Amendment Foundation, obviously I have a dog in the fight, but let me just say this. They use the money very well, and I think they have active litigation right now in 35 states, and some of those states have multiple lawsuits. It's difficult to track.
So, yeah, talk a little bit about that, too, because the Second Amendment Foundation, you're the chief editor of their investigative journalism project. So what exactly is that one, or what's going on with that?
Well, staff is cut into two parts, basically. They have they're promoting or dedicated to promoting a better understanding about our constitutional heritage of privately owning and possessing firearms. And they have educational programs, and I am one of those. And then they have legal action programs. And they'll throw a suit at somebody at the drop of a hat. and they use those suits educationally too. And let me just say this: after Bruen, I would strongly predict a huge upturn in litigation, because some of these blue states, like you guys who live behind the wire, behind enemy lines, are finding out, that their reaction to Bruen has been poor. So we're going to have to show them the error of their ways, and the best way to do that is to cost them some money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I was going to ask you what your thoughts on that were too, about the oppressive states, places like California, New Jersey, Massachusetts, and the likely reaction to that SCOTUS opinion.
Well, Bruen is so huge. I personally don't understand the whole context of it. It's bigger than I'd hoped it would be, and I think it's going to be bigger, and it'll turn out being bigger than anybody had ever predicted. But unfortunately, you've got your blue states that you think they would try and get in line with what is constitutional and what is not without litigation. But, you've got Newsom running for president, and you've got Hochul running for election in New York. So these people are going to scream, and they're going to have to be brought to justice by us and by other pro-gun organizations. Unfortunately, that means that we're going to have to pay for that. And why? And this always pisses me off. Why does this always have to be our money? Okay, yeah, we're going to get some of it back. Second Amendment Foundation has a good track record of wins, a huge track record of wins, and we'll get attorney's fees. But then that'll cost the taxpayers money. So if you're living in these blue states, I mean, vote them out. I almost used the word that the FCC kind of frowns upon.
Yeah, and then that's just you'd have them on your back.
Yeah.
But because I guess our governor was down in your state campaigning the other day. I heard he's got some ads running in Florida. So
he's trying to lure Floridians to California for the freedom, which is the dumbest thing I have ever heard a politician do.
Oh,
keep listening to him.
I was going to say, keep listening. You'll hear a lot of that. The other thing too is you're such a it's so much fun reading your stuff, because I've read your articles on Ammo Land. I subscribe to your Substack column there, and you were writing. There was a really interesting one just the other day, I think, actually just yesterday, about the deal that's going on with UPS. And can you talk a little bit about that?
Idiots.
Okay, enough said.
We kind of told the story in reverse order because we didn't know all the facts at the time, but we were right. UPS, FedEx, the U.S. Postal Service, and a whole bunch of truck and train carriers got a really scary letter from 5 senators. And I bet if you didn't know who they were, you could probably pick the anti-gun senators. I bet you can get 3 of the 5. I'm just going to hit them real quick. Markey out of Massachusetts, Blumenthal and Murphy out of Connecticut, Booker out of New Jersey, and then, of course, your Dianne Feinstein. And they started the letter to all these carriers with this ominous warning, quote, "We are concerned that lax shipping security measures are contributing to the epidemic of gun violence in this country by allowing criminals to use stolen firearms to commit crimes." And that went out to 28 carriers. And it chilled them. I mean, that has a chilling effect on these small businesses. So, of course, UPS reacts completely. They swing wide, and they completely overreacted. They start sending letters to gun dealers who sell gun parts used in the making of homemade guns, which are completely legal here and in other free states. And one guy I spoke to, great guy. He runs, unfortunately, his business is called Ghost Guns, but he makes uppers, he makes lowers, he makes OEM parts, he makes rails. They told him that UPS is terminating his account because he, quote, may be violating applicable laws concerning the shipment of ghost guns to unauthorized locations. He's not. I mean, these guys are smart. They're not going to sell, ghost gun parts to California or New York or Massachusetts. And he just had ATF did an audit 2 weeks before he got the letter. But the scary thing was UPS told him that anything in the pipeline, they're going to seize and destroy. And he had just shipped out more than 30 grand worth of products.
And have you heard anything from them, or have you touched back with that vendor just to see, did they really do that? I mean, did they really destroy his products or seize his products?
We don't know yet. It's too early to tell, but we'll probably know next week. Well, then, of course, I'm trying to get some comment out of UPS, and they're all hunkered down in the bunker, and they're not returning phone calls. They told Vice News, the lefty Vice News, that they had made new rules. So we published a story on Saturday with a link to their new shipping rules. So they cancel these guys' contracts, they confiscate their property probably, and then they come out with a list of new rules. I mean, that's backwards, man. I mean, they canceled the accounts of gun dealers who may have violated the rules that weren't even made public yet for them to follow, if you get my drift.
So they did all that based on their secret rules then?
Yes. You had to know what the secret rules were, or you probably should have had a business not named Ghost Anything. But, yeah, typical overreaction. Go woke and go broke, UPS. Everybody I know is already talking about FedEx, USPS, and other carriers.
They're probably going to follow suit.
Yeah.
So
it's just sad.
Yeah, road trip.
What's that other one?
Yeah.
What's the yellow one? Are they good?
Ooh.
DHL.
DHL.
Yeah, are they good on guns?
As drivers
I
have
think they got
legs.
a letter, too. They got a letter.
Oh, yeah. Even every mom and pop delivery service got a letter.
So Lee, do you know anybody that's resisted that? Did any of those carriers come out and say no? Well, hang on. Well, hang on.
You don't want to be woke.
You don't want to miss the answer for that.
Yeah, that's
in our
right.
next segment.
Boy, very good, Joe. Stay tuned. Well, a lot of companies are so frustrated with their websites. They look old. It's out of date. They're not getting any response. So guess what? Sage Tree gets it. They've been doing this since 2005, and Sage Tree have been helping many, many companies get up and running with their websites. Now they look great. They work great. And guess what? The leads are coming in. Stop being frustrated by your website and get one that you'll be proud to share. Contact Sage Tree today to get a website that makes your phones ring. Getting started is super easy. 866-728-9100. That's 866-728-9100. And trust me, they'll fix your website today.
Did you say frustrated, by the way?
Yes, frustrated? Is that a bad word?
Frustrated.
Oh, it's frustrated.
It's not frustrated.
Yes,
it's
it is.
Frustrated.
It's-
There's an R in there.
You want me to show you on my
The R isn't silent.
You want me to show you on my phone?
No.
It's frustrated.
All right. Sorry. Let's talk about guns.
We have an award-winning journalist on here. Could
and
probably
he
answer
should
that
know,
question.
is it frustrated or frustrated?
I'll go with the R, brother.
There you go.
Man. Okay.
Outnumbered.
I stand corrected.
Okay, so that big question, Lee, you had an answer for us before we were so rudely interrupted by
I
that
was
break
frustrated.
music.
Yeah, it is frustrating. I'll say this. I think it's too soon for the companies to take an official position to this yet. UPS just obviously buckled under. I would hope that some of these other firms would see that, this is a constitutional right. And hopefully they will understand that and push back against these senators, because that's where it's all coming from. These and I mean, Diane, is she even? Can she even speak? I heard she's got more cognitive issues than Joe.
Yeah, so we were just talking.
That's what
about
I heard
off
too.
air.
Yeah. It's funny we all guess that person. How would that happen?
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
Well, it's unfortunate, I think, that a group of senators would take that kind of action, I think, against, private businesses, just, to make that political point or political agenda item like that. It's, I think it's disappointing to hear that they would do that. And that's, we have that kind of issue with, I think, businesses, all across the country, really. It's not just that one industry or anything like that, but I don't know how common, in your experience, is that a common thing for senators to do something like that?
I haven't seen this type of threat before, because I've seen a lot of senatorial letters, tons of them, but I've never seen a group of five flunkies hold an entire group of businesses accountable for murders, which is basically what they said. I mean, they said they weren't. They didn't equivocate. We are concerned that lax shipping security measures are contributing to the epidemic of gun violence in this country. So they're accusing the shipping industry of being complicit in murders, and I mean, that's off the hook. That's way beyond something that these folks could know. I mean, Cory Booker, come on, Chris Murphy, Richard Blumenthal. These guys have been anti-gun their entire careers, and Diane, obviously.
I guessed them all right.
Yeah.
So let me get, you were talking about at the very beginning of the interview. You talked about investigative journalism or journalists, people that claim to be investigative journalists, and there was kind of there was kind of a tone, I guess. But I'm just curious, that made me wonder, what is an investigative journalist? Like what does that mean? How in your opinion, how do you qualify as a legit investigative journalist?
That's a hell of a question.
Yeah, right? That's why I get paid the big bucks around here.
The number one criteria is that you come up with your own stories. You see a problem, you see a group of people who are affected by the problem, and you approach it from that angle. Unfortunately, in the mainstream media today, everything is data. They'll pay thousands of dollars for some database, and then they'll data mine it and see if they can come up with a problem that in the data. And that's not investigative reporting. That's computer-assisted reporting. Real investigative reporting, and we do that at Second Amendment Foundation, is boots on the ground, find somebody who's been hurt, or a business that's been hurt, or a group of people that have been hurt, usually by local government, state government, or nowadays federal government, and you out the bad guys, man. I mean, I've been very fortunate to have been part of some really good stories, and it's all pretty much the same technique. You pick somebody up off the ground by the neck, and you tell your readers, this is a bad man, and here's why. And change happens. And change. I did a series in Delaware on the public housing community and how they were forbidden to own firearms. And if they were caught with a firearm in public housing, they'd be booted. They'd be evicted. And one woman we met had a little .25, little piece of crap gun, because she was a seamstress. She did alterations to make ends meet. And she had 2 expensive sewing machines that she knew would be ripped off from her home and sold for pawn somewhere for drug money. So that's why she kept a pistol. Well, after the first couple of stories, NRA swooped in, and I interviewed a bunch of Wayne, and back then Chris Cox was running Isla. And I said, Chris, what would you tell these people in Delaware? And he said, you tell them help's on the way. And they swooped in and sued and cost NRA a lot of their money. Right now, these residents and these public housing communities are terrible. I mean, drug deals right outside your front door. But at least these people now can own firearms to protect and defend their homes.
So that's
investigative reporting.
That's awesome. That's a great answer. When you look across the the media today, who do you like? Is there anybody out there that you're really particularly impressed with? Does there anybody out there stand out?
Now they're doing, especially on TV, they're doing all reaction stories. They're reacting and doing stories on what people say, what they say on The View, what somebody else said, blah, 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 or what somebody said on Twitter. That's not reporting, man. And it's certainly about as far from investigative reporting as you can get. I am a print guy. I think the best investigative reporting is always done by newspapers, has always been done by newspapers. But unfortunately, you've got your biggest newspapers now are so violently leftist. I mean, Washington Post, New York Times, dozens and dozens, if not hundreds, of Pulitzer Prizes over the years. But right now, they're not going to take on a story unless it's politically correct for them to take on that story.
Do you like?
They're not going to go after Joe.
No. Do you like? Is his name Matt Lee? He just popped into my head. That from the AP. He covers the White House. Yeah, AP is a wire service, and the big problem with AP, while they might break a story, it's just not really good writing. AP writes for their members, and that's a really inside baseball journalism thing. But they're not bad. There's the one guy in particular. Pretty sure his name's Matt Lee. Are you familiar with that guy? No, I'm not. No? Okay, all right. I was just curious. It's pretty interesting. Journalism has changed so much over the last 20, 30 years. It seems like it's changed so much in the last 5 years. I don't know. There's no more gray hair, man. I mean, all of the newspapers got rid of their long-standing, long-term, knowledgeable reporters. I don't care what chain it is. Gannett, the average age, there's got to be about 14 in the newsroom. They've lost the age and experience because it's expensive, and they've replaced them with youth. And my former paper here in Sarasota, Florida,
is now inundated with young kids, and they're just not capable of going out and holding someone accountable, or going out and getting in somebody's face and, telling truth to power. That comes with experience. That's why you're seeing declines in readership across the board, newspaper. And fortunately, that's why people are turning to other sources for the news, like my Substack account or my other personal account, armedamericannews.org. We're seeing a huge uptick in traffic because, especially my collaboration with Mark Walters from Armed American Radio is Armed American News, and we separate our opinion from the news, because most gun owners, they don't need to be told how to think. They just want the news. So that's what we give them. And if we throw an opinion in there, it's in something clearly marked opinion.
Fantastic, man. I tell you, how do people follow you around again?
thegunwriter.substack.org or armedamericannews.org. Substack is .com. armedamericannews is .org.
Very good.
So San Diego Guns was named as the Shop of the Year at Gun Prom. In studio is Dallas Martensen to talk about his shop on Mission Gorge.
But first, did you know we have a world-class flight training school right here in San Diego? Pilots can fly almost every day. And we're close to the ocean, deserts, mountains, international border. You can even see a military base. That's why San Diego is one of the best places to learn how to fly in the world. Learn to fly in sunny of San Diego, right at Montgomery Field. Getting started is super easy. Just call them at 858-569-1822, or you can go to Learn to Fly with SDFTI, or just call them 858-569-1822.
All right, my buddy Dallas Martensen from San Diego Guns, right here in the heart of San Diego. You guys are basically, it's Mission Valley is where you guys are located. Is it considered Mission Valley?
It's, I think, the Grantville area, so it is a little bit, I'd call it at a push, kind of East Mission Valley.
East Mission Valley.
Is that off of Fairmont Mission Gorge someplace?
It is. It's right on Mission Gorge Road and Mission Gorge Place.
Yeah, that's Grantville.
And it's probably a mile or two from Friars Road.
And how long have you guys been there?
We opened January of 2016.
See, it says right there on his shirt.
Oh, yeah, established 2016.
That's right.
Now, I hope I'm not messing this up, but I knew you when you worked at Discount Gun Mart, right? Isn't that where you started?
Technically, I worked at a shop prior to that.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah, you worked there for years, though.
I worked there for 8 years, yeah.
Yeah, wow. Okay, cool. So what was the catalyst? What made you open up your own shop?
I've worked prior to opening the shop, I'd worked in the firearm industry for about 10 years at that point. Mm-hmm. And I learned pretty much every kind of in and out of the industry. And I saw that there was a pretty big hole there in terms of what customers were kind of expecting. In a lot of ways, people want to come into a place that's, clean, organized, friendly, which is, I think, the biggest thing.
Yeah.
So a lot of the places I worked at, they weren't fully kind of satisfying that, and so
You're so diplomatic.
Yeah, I was going to say
you really thinking
you
those
thought
words
you
out.
could do it a different way and even better.
Exactly.
Is that the idea?
correct. And we have a pretty small footprint retail wise.
Yeah.
But we do a very large volume, and people seem to have really liked what we're offering.
Customer service is everything,
Yes.
no matter what you do.
Especially, I've always said especially when there were a lot of gun shops. I think things have gotten a lot better overall in recent years. But back in the 90s, when I got to San Diego and early 2000s, there were a lot of people. They were like you watch The Simpsons?
Yeah.
The comic book store guy. Remember the comic book store guy?
A little bit.
Like that, all the people working in gun shops were kind of comic book store guys, where if you said the wrong thing or you didn't like the gun they liked.
Correct.
Like, oh my God.
Try going back in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
If you walked in a gun shop and if you didn't know anything about a gun, you will not stay. And they had to change. They had, because there's so many new shooters that probably never grew up. Did you grow up with guns?
Yes and no. I think I probably went shooting for the first time when I was 10 or 12.
Yeah.
But I didn't. Not too often. I always had an interest in it, but I didn't really grow up doing it. But once
And now look where you're at.
Yeah.
You grew up. You're an East County guy, right?
Yeah, I went to high school, graduated from Steel Canyon in East County, and lived out in East County for pretty much from high school on.
What have you learned about gun owners since you started working in the industry, but especially opening your own shop? Like, what have you really learned about gun owners?
I think the best thing to convey to people is that there isn't a stereotypical gun owner. We get a lot of people that come in that are, regular blue collar workers. There's people that come in that are lawyers, judges, business owners, really all walks of life. So there isn't really a cookie cutter gun owner. So that's kind of an interesting thing because people ask that all the time. They're like, "Oh, what's your average customer?" I'm like, "Well, you can't really tell because they're everybody."
Do you feel like that got even better? That was even more the case in the last few years? It feels like maybe since COVID, like it's really expanded.
Absolutely. Once kind of COVID kicked off, there was people that came in that would say, "I never thought I'd own a firearm."
Yeah.
I just all walks of life and people who really wanted to be able to protect themselves and, feel safe.
A lot more, yoga instructors and vegans and man buns buying guns. It used to be that the only man bun gun guys were buying CZs, but now they're buying everything, right?
Yes, CZ was kind of always dubbed the hipster brand, and now everybody is purchasing firearms, which is great.
I think it's great too. I truly do, and I think that you guys you guys walk like you talk it. You're very accepting, open, and fantastic place to buy a gun. I think it's really, really awesome.
Thank you.
How many employees do you have?
Right now, I think there's 7 of us.
Wow. How does that feel?
It's kind of wild because initially I was the only one working there all day for, probably half the year right after we opened. And so now to have, a continuously growing staff, it's great. I love it.
When you opened up your own business, this is your first business that you've ever...
Yes.
So when at what point after you opened your business did it kind of hit you like, wow, I'm a business owner. This is kind of cool.
I got bills.
Yeah, that's always the fun part.
I didn't think they'd be this big.
Right. I guess it was probably further into the process because initially it was kind of just me and I was just doing what I loved and it was work obviously, but once you kind of grow and then you're hiring people and you're dealing with things you never had to deal with, I think that's kind of when it...
Well, now you're responsible for people.
Exactly.
You're responsible for their income, their livelihood, what kind of a job environment are you going to lay out for them?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, does your lovely wife, does she work at the shop full time with you?
Actually, yes, she does.
Awesome. Awesome. That must be kind of cool.
No, it's great. We've really...
Like, what's he going to say? No, Mike, it's horrible, man. I got to tell you, it's hell. Get me out of here.
And by the way, folks, if you're on YouTube and you can't see her, that's intentional, okay? Because as Dallas moves to the right, she moves to the right. If he moves to the left, just thought I'd throw that. So you guys won't think we have an imaginary wife for Dallas.
Would you when you came up with the idea that, hey, I'm gonna open up a gun shop? What was the reaction?
My wife. Well, we were currently, I think, just dating at the time.
Oh, so she wasn't allowed to. Yeah.
No, but she was.
Keep it up.
I know.
She was very supportive. She encouraged me to do it, and she's been with me since pretty much day one, and has been supportive through everything. So
that's awesome.
How many days a week are you open?
7 days a week.
Wow, 7 days a week.
You guys are just an awesome shop. Truly, truly, truly. How do you decide what to order? Like, when you're looking at the shelves, you know what I mean? Like, how does that work? I've always kind of wondered, like, how do you decide what to stock?
So, being in California, obviously, we already have limited options.
Yeah.
So, within that realm, I like to stock things that I like.
Yeah.
So, I try to stock the best, coolest things that I can get my hands on. Lately, we've been getting a lot more. We've been doing a lot of, Glock packages, shield packages, especially with...
What does that mean, a Glock? But, they'll send you 4 or 5 different types, or...
No, so we'll have pretty much every Glock that's on the roster, we have it in stock. Mm-hmm. And then what we've done is we've taken a standard, say, Glock 19 Gen 3, and then we've put new slides, suppressor height sights, optics, lights, triggers.
So you hop it up.
Oh, wow.
Exactly.
You got a custom gun, basically.
Right. And so people, before it was like you kind of had to buy the gun and then figure out what you wanted to do.
Yeah. Put a spoiler on it and hood scoop.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people know
what they want.
What brands, where to find it. So we've basically created what we like, and people, the response has been
son of a gun, they like your stuff.
Right. Exactly.
That's the hot rod community right there.
It is. Well, so when it used to be when people ask me like, hey, I want to buy a gun. How much is a gun? Well, I mean, a Glock's $600. A Glock's been like $500 or $600 for like 30 years.
Right.
So, all right, $600 for the gun, but you have to buy a safe, especially if you have kids. You have to buy a like when I'm giving advice to people, you have to buy a flashlight of some kind, whether it's mounted or whatever. You have to put, night sights on there. And I ask them, well, what are you going to use it for? And inevitably it's, self-defense. If they're asking me what kind of gun they should buy, it's almost always because they're going to use it for self-defense. If they're going to use it for anything else, they already know what gun they're going to buy.
Sure.
In my experience. So I'm always telling them, like, look, yeah, the gun's $600, but there's a whole world out there. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that you really need. So I tell people, look, if you're going in, make sure you got, $1,000, $1,500, in order to really, truly. Because the first gun I bought was a used Glock 19 from Discount Gun Mart on Marina back in the late 90s. That was the first gun I bought, and I thought that was going to scratch the itch, and it didn't. And within a couple of months, I had a shotgun and an AR, and you know what I mean? So it's there's a whole world out there. You can't just buy a gun. That's the gun's the membership card. It's all the other cool stuff, Yeah,
I would definitely agree. It's nice to, get the initial firearm you want, but then, you definitely weapon light sights, ammunition, magazines, being able to go train and practice with it. That's a big thing, too.
T-shirt with the name of the gun across the front. I mean, come on.
That's right. Little fuzzy dice to hang off the muzzle.
Baseball hat.
Dallas, do you guys have, you've got like a full service thing? So you've got the gunsmithing, the machining, everything there? Or?
We don't do any machining just because we don't have the space.
Uh-huh.
So we do limited armor work. So we will do work on like Glocks, shields, ARs, things like that, mounting some scopes and kind of more of the basic things.
Right.
But yeah.
Bolt-ons.
Exactly.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that you have display guns that you've already done, because I can't tell you how many people will want to buy a gun, and like my cousin's asking for it, and he wants it etched. I go, well, what do you want etched on it? He goes, I don't know.
But it's got to be mine.
Yeah. I says, okay, so why don't we go see if we can find one that's already etched? You might like it. So that's where we're at right now.
Have you seen a big uptick in like holsters and carry and that sort of thing?
I think there's a lot of people that are in the process, and every day we get people coming in. How do I get my CCW? Where do I start? So we're always directing people to the San Diego County Gun Owners website. Obviously, the good cause statement has changed, so people are excited about that, and so there's been a lot of interest. But yeah, people are always kind of inquiring.
So then that's exactly. Let's talk a little bit more about that when we get into the next segment.
All right, he didn't even know he's staying another segment.
That's right.
All right, PRMI Mortgage, primeres.com/Alpine. If you're looking to buy, refi, or if you're just considering a reverse mortgage, call our local mortgage guy that you can trust. Call Chris Wiley at PRMI Mortgage. For nearly 25 years, Chris has been helping local San Diegans with all their mortgage needs. Hey, they make it easy. You can work with a friendly expert team who will help you get the best deal possible. Call Chris Wiley at 619-722-1303, 619-722-1303, or go to primeres.com/Alpine.
Here with Dallas Martensen from San Diego Guns, and you were just saying that you get a lot of people asking about CCWs, and you send them to San Diego County Gun Owners website. You guys were honored at Gun Prom as Gun Shop of the Year. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And that's a big part of the reason why is, San Diego County Gun Owners get a lot of phone calls, and it was like, it's like every other phone call is like, yeah, SD Guns told us to call, So you guys were driving people to the website, driving people to the organization, and can't thank you enough. So nice to get the word out.
I think we should thank the wife.
Absolutely.
Because I have a sneaky feeling Dallas didn't do it. He's just making it happen behind the counter, and she's throwing it out there and getting the word out.
Well, it was effective. It's truly effective. We were getting all kinds of phone calls, from you guys. So thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. And the cool thing is since we do get a lot of traffic, there's so many people that are inquiring about CCWs, and that's our job, is to educate all of our customers. And so we want them to know what's the current situation on applying for your CCW and putting the right information out there. So, we're happy to do it.
Well, you guys are awesome. Thank you. Did you have fun at Gun Prom?
Yeah, it was a blast. It was a great event, and it's always nice because there obviously isn't really any other ones where the Second Amendment community is able to get together and enjoy it in a great space. So, yeah.
Okay, but the most important question, did you win anything?
No.
I did.
Yeah, what did you win, Dave?
A little bar back, 22.
Oh, yeah.
Long revolver.
Nice.
Yeah,
Very, very nice.
Yeah, sweet.
So, okay, we were actually talking before you got in the studio. How many carry options are there? I mean, like real, true, I think Glock 19 is a carry option. But what, even these days, a Glock 19 is kind of big compared. What are the carry options you can actually get in San Diego?
For me, I mean, I kind of agree. I have a Glock 19 on my permit. It does, after wearing it for 8 or 10 hours, it feels like a boat anchor.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I would say the Smith & Wesson Shield's probably second in line of popularity.
It's enormously popular.
Very popular.
Enormously popular. And it's amazing how they're very hardy. I mean, they work, right? I don't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they've been super reliable.
Oh, yeah. I have a couple of them. I have one on my permit. It's the one that I primarily carry. Mm-hmm. The biggest thing is it's about under an inch thick. So the profile when you're actually carrying it feels a lot less cumbersome than a double stack Glock 19.
Yeah. Okay, so you got the Shield, Smith & Wesson Shield. What's another? What are the other options? They're kind of few and far between.
Kind of, and that's kind of the problem with the California roster is that it's very limited. There is the SIG 238.
238, SIG 238. Is that in 380?
380.
Yeah, SIG 238.
There is some people like wheel guns, so revolvers, little 442, 642. 38 Special or 357. That's another choice that people do pick.
And there's a car. Car has a something or other, right?
They have a 9, I think a P9, and also their car 380.
Yeah. But that's kind of it.
Kind of, yeah.
There's like 4 guns that you can carry.
Yeah, honestly, some people off-body carry or in bags and will go with a larger platform or sometimes a PO1 even, CZ PO1, which is a compact.
I like I said, I carry a 19 and a 30. They're basically the same size.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I mean, the 30's a little thicker, a little hardier, but but a true, carry gun, it's few and far between. That's what I was telling them when we were on KUSI. I was on KUSI this morning to talk about the Rena case, which is hopefully going to get to the roster. And that's how debilitating it is that you have 4 products out of, I mean, if we were in Arizona or Nevada or whatever, there'd be dozens.
Oh yeah,
hundreds.
Yeah, I was gonna say even more than that. There's so many small carry-sized pistols out there that we can't even touch, and the price point of those too, they start at probably $200 and go from there.
Reminds me of like those movies you'd see about like communist Russia in the 80s, where you just have like a couple of, you know what I mean? It's crazy.
All
it's
the cars
crazy.
are one color.
Yeah, all the cars are one.
Yeah,
you can get any color as long as it's black. Yeah. So. Well, what? Tell us a little bit more about your shop. What's an interesting experience? Have you had an interesting customer? Or
what's the address again?
5995 Mission Gorge Road, and we're Suite C.
And you're close to?
The Toyota San Diego is the best, I guess, landmark.
Okay.
Iowa Meats is a good landmark.
There you go.
Iowa Meats is great.
Yeah.
So you're in that little complex with Iowa Meats?
Right before them.
Right before them?
That's a hell of a day, by the way. Go to SD Guns, and then Iowa Meats.
Well, where do we normally go?
That'd be great.
That would be a good grape. All right.
So what's a good? Tell us a good customer story. Something interesting. Somebody that came in and they had an epiphany, or somebody that we were really proud to help, or anything.
That's kind of tough.
Put you on the spot. I know.
We have a lot of great customers, and we've had some people come in that have actually had I'd say kind of wild experiences or situations they didn't think they would be in, and they've kind of told us their personal story on things that have happened that they basically realized that they needed a firearm to protect themselves.
They need to come in and see you.
Exactly, and they, some people have literally said, I never thought I'd be in a gun store purchasing a firearm, but this is what happened to me, and here I am. And so, we're happy to be there to make people feel safe and get what they need.
So I'm not making this a commercial, but if somebody walks into your store, what can they buy? Or what can't they buy?
I mean, everything in the most part in the store you can buy. So, I mean, we have pistols, rifles, shotguns,
clothing,
tasers. We have our clothing.
Right, but you don't have anything like shooting jackets or anything like that.
No, nothing like that. But we do have a lot of also accessories and eye-near protection.
You have a website?
Yeah.
What is it?
SanDiegoGuns.com.
And people can see inventory and see what you have pretty much on there?
Not everything. We're still kind of working on that. There is an online portion where you can shop online and it ships directly to us.
Gotcha.
And then I have a little bit of our in-store inventory. It's just tough because the inventory fluctuates pretty quickly. So it's hard to keep up on that one.
You guys seem to have, do you have a lot of consignment? I feel like you guys have a lot of, maybe it's not consignment, but I feel like you guys have a lot of secondhand guns that.
We do have a lot of used guns. We primarily purchase. So we do buys, honestly, pretty much every day. And we have people, sometimes 3-4 different groups of people come in and selling us guns every day. So we do a lot of gun buys.
Wow. Is there something that came through that just blew your mind?
It never went out the other end. I got to have this gun.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, there's a lot of unique guns that have came in, especially stuff from the early 1900s. Like we have a very unique Walther Model 6 that was made, it was before 1920, and they only made about 1,000 of them.
Wow.
There's been really old U.S. property marked, Colt 1911s. I mean, just kind of anything and everything, and we've kind of seen.
Is it hard not to buy them all?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, you see, pieces of history essentially.
I can see the sparkle in your eyes.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I love it, and so you see, a gun that's 100 years old that you're like, wow, like it's made it this far. It's still in perfect working condition. Like it's very cool to see old
So could
things
you
like that.
appraise guns if somebody was to come in and say, "Hey, this is my grandfather's, but I don't know what it is"?
Yeah, no, we do. You can pay for an appraisal, and then I,
A real appraisal.
Yeah, take the time to actually look everything up, and sometimes I can take hours to do that. So yeah we can.
That's interesting. How do people find you normally? Like, what's the most effective marketing, you think?
We do a lot on social media, even though it's very, I don't want to say we're shadow banned, but there is a lot of restriction on our platform.
Yeah.
So we do put a lot of content on Instagram and Facebook.
You guys always include the aim here too, which I really appreciate. That's
we
super
do.
Nice, you guys.
We do.
That's
And
cool.
we like other customers to feel safe, so it's always like, hey, point it up here, so that way everyone else in the store feels comfortable as well, and we point them in the direction of going to your site too.
Yeah.
I know it's tough running a business, and it's tough running a gun business in California. What is it tough running a gun business in the city of San Diego?
The city themselves don't add too much, really, say, additional requirement because we have everything, locked, secure, cameras. We have everything set up in the safest way possible. But the city will, on top of the state of California, the Department of Justice, and the ATF, the city will also audit us. So, there's 3 different agencies that come down and want to make sure we're doing everything right, and they've all audited us, and, we're
You ever
always doing
notice
everything
they
right.
always do it in a row? They don't come on top of each other. Okay, I'm done.
Oh,
you
yeah,
go
no.
get him.
Oh, yeah.
I should be in the car business, getting the ocean and the unions or whatever. They just run up, but that's okay as long as you got your stuff together. There's nothing they can say.
Well, they're kind of looking for different things too. For example, what is the city looking for that the ATF doesn't?
The ATF's usually checking the 4473 paperwork, making sure that everything is done in accordance the way they want it done. The city is more so making sure, checking like our gun buys and making sure that everything lines up with like the bound book and kind of things like that.
Yeah.
Serial numbers is the big thing, or if somebody got denied, making sure that the gun didn't go to, say, their family member, and making sure that all the paperwork lines up.
What do you wish more gun owners knew?
I would say the biggest thing or what they should know is that the process can be very simple if you have all the right documentation. And so we always try to educate our customers in knowing that, hey, if you bring in, if you have the real ID with your current address and FSC card, or, you can take the test at our shop, and having a car reg as your current address, that's all you need to purchase. And so sometimes people get frustrated with the process because it can seem like it's always something and it can be difficult. And so we try to make it as easy as possible for, say, hey, these are the documents you need, and that's it. And that's, I think, the biggest thing. Sometimes it can be a barrier for some people is that, they think it's too difficult.
Interesting. That's awesome.
Do you hear that from like first-time gun buyers? Because I imagine over the last couple of years, there's a lot more first-time buyers, and they're surprised maybe at how not easy it is.
Absolutely. We get a lot of customers that are expecting, like, first-time buyers, like, I don't get to take this right now. And we're like, no, you have to wait 10 days. And so there's that initial element just in itself. And then on top of that, it's also like, okay, I have to pay for this, wait 10 days, but I need it now.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, there's nothing we can do about that.
No, you don't need it now, because
Right.
if you do, you're not getting it. No, I know. But I just went and picked up mine. I mean, I did gobs of paperwork going in, but before I left, I still had to fill out some paperwork. So the government, when they say about all these background checks, it looks like if the normal Joe like me, no offense, has to go through what I went through to pick up my gun, just tells you the criminals aren't going through the system. Right? I mean, because,
I would say so. I mean, it is a process, and even picking up the firearm after you've done, say, 20, 30 minutes of paperwork, when you come back to pick it up, there's another 15, 20 minutes. It's not in and out.
That's right. So for them to say that we're not doing enough checks, we're not doing enough this, and you're not selling the guns legally is BS. It's because the people that are getting the guns have never gone through that process legally.
Yeah, anybody that does it legally knows it's a process.
Address one more time.
5995 Mission Gorge Road, Suite C, San Diego, California.
Point of interest.
Point of interest. What is this? Robert's Rules?
Yeah,
the point of interest.
Point of interest.
The meat place next to his.
Iowa Meats.
Yeah.
See, there you go.
I got gator andouille sausage there one time
And
for my jambalaya. It was
it
good.
All right. Well, hey man, it's good having you in, and the missus.
He's
who's-
hanging
we can't
out.
see.
He's gonna ask.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
you gotta hear. Oh, you got it. In fact, we got to get some headphones for the wife. Well, hey, it's time to take ownership of your self-defense journey. The U.S. Concealed Carry Association believes the key ingredient to being a responsibly firearms owner is proper training and education. The USCCA offers comprehensive training that helps you avoid danger while keeping you and your family safe. More than 650,000 responsibly armed Americans like you have made the responsible decision to take control of protecting themselves and their families. Get hands-on training from certified instructors. Learn how to avoid danger, defend yourself, and protect your loved ones. Take responsibility for your own safety and visit uscca.com/GOR.
All right, it's time for everybody's favorite segment, Stump My Nephew. A few years ago, we discovered that my young nephew is particularly good at gun trivia, and he's now at the ripe old age of 22. Extremely good at gun trivia. So if you send us a question and we use it on the air, we'll give you a hat or a shirt. If you stump my nephew, we'll give you a special prize. So and he doesn't get these questions beforehand. There's no preparation. The first time he hears this question is on the air. So how's it going, Sam?
Good. How are you guys?
Good, man. So we have a special guest in the studio, Dallas Martensen. He owns San Diego Guns, a gun shop here in San Diego, coincidentally. And he's going to ask a question for you. What do you say?
Sounds good. Let's have it.
All right.
What is
Wait.
Oh,
Ray from Fresno.
Ray from Fresno.
There you go.
What is a M41A pulse rifle?
Ray from Fresno, thanks for writing in. I feel like this one's a little bit of an unfair question because it's technically not about a real firearm.
What did I just...
The M41 pulse rifle is the service weapon of the U.S. Colonial Marines from the movie Aliens, which, by the way, I have not seen yet but is on my list.
Oh, Sam, you're doing yourself a dishonor by not watching Aliens. That is one of the best action movies of all time. I'm telling you.
Really?
The first two are great. Then I don't want to talk about the other ones after that. That's another story entirely.
Now, do you know what? Some of them were good. You know what was really good was like Prometheus and all the ones after those were really
I
good.
didn't like Prometheus.
We're gonna have to sit down and talk.
Okay.
I'll tell you why you should like Prometheus. Okay, so what was it made of? Do you know what it was made of?
No, I could not tell you what it's made of. It's
But
made of
you got it right, by the way.
film and movie magic. I don't know.
Yeah. It says here.
Wait.
Go ahead.
Before you say anything, I might be incorrect in this, but I feel like I remember reading somewhere that they made the firing prop guns out of a converted Mac 11, but I might be incorrect.
Possibly, but that's not what was mentioned here. It was the fictional firearm was actually composed of an M1A1 Thompson submachine gun, a Remington 870 pump shotgun, and a Franchi Spaz 12 shotgun. One of the last movies for the dominance of CGI special effects. These props were operational, and the muzzle flashes were captured directly on film, which
Very
is cool.
Practical effects are always better, in my opinion.
I agree. A Spaz 12 was kind of looked like a space-aged gun anyway, didn't it? Do you remember those? Dallas, did you ever sell one of those? Were they legal when you were still
No, those have been banned by name in California, but they are a very cool-looking shotgun.
They are, right? Sam, are you able to sell those in Virginia?
We are technically able to sell them in Virginia, but they're exceptionally rare because they were banned for import after only a few hundred were brought into the country. So in terms of
I didn't know that.
famous but unpopular firearms, the ratio of how many people know it from movies versus how many there actually are, the SPAS 12 is very high in that metric.
In other words, it's been used in a lot of movies, so people know about it, but they're pretty rare.
Iconic.
Yeah.
Everyone who doesn't know about guns knows what it is.
I know about it from the Punisher comics. He used one. Way to bring down the show, Mike. Anyway, so total silence. A hush comes over the crowd.
Nobody's laughing.
So, Sam, tell us about your new holster, bud.
Okay, I guess you heard about that. So this is kind of a non-story. I got a custom-made leather holster for my Chiappa Rhino, which is a revolver. I figured, nice walnut grip revolver. You got to get a leather holster for it.
Absolutely.
Got to show it off. Need something with a little bit of panache, a little bit gentlemanly, not just your everyday boring Kydex like what I use for my Glock. And I'm very happy with it. Everyone listening, if you want a holster that's nice and looks nice, and you want to treat yourself a little bit, I highly recommend a nice handmade leather holster.
Treat yourself a little bit, a little
self-care. There are
self-care.
plenty of custom holster makers who are local to you. Mine was made by a guy who lives in Woodbridge, which is just a little ways north of me.
I just had this image of
He's always shop local.
I had this image of Sam in like a nice comfortable chair with like some
Shot of brandy,
like some fragrance and
a
like
smoking
a little
jacket.
candle and something, and someone like hands him a nice leather holster, just a nice relaxing.
you really have a good imagination. You know that? You got to stay away from the spaghetti at Denny's. I think the sauce is getting to you.
Yeah, leather holsters are great. Now, life's too short to just have a crappy Kydex holster.
Amen to that. Dallas, do you guys sell a lot of those? It's the Rhino, right, Sam?
Yeah.
You guys sell a lot of Rhinos?
So the Chiappa Rhino is not on the roster, but you can get it single action, and then it could be drossed as a single action revolver, take it home, and then you could convert it to double single.
Yeah.
So the short answer is not too many.
Not too many, because that's kind of difficult.
Yes.
So what do you do? Can you have those in your shop? Can you just stock your shop with those in single action, or how do you handle that?
If we can find it available from the manufacturer, single action, we can order that, and we could have them in the shop. Or it could be done actually third party and then sent to us single action and drossed that way.
Have you shot one?
I haven't.
Sam, tell them what you think about it.
If you ever want to shoot a 350, I've been shooting 38s through mine because they're easier to find. But in 38, it recoils about like a 22. And some of my coworkers at our other location have the same gun in different barrel lengths, and they say in 357 it's pretty mild as well. Still trying to find ammo for that, but it's an excellent gun. It shoots great. I'm stacking holes at 7 yards without even trying. Can't say enough good things about it.
He was like giddy with laughter the first time he shot it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was, yeah. I had to step back behind the firing line because I was laughing too hard and I didn't want to make a scene.
All right, buddy. It's always good talking to you.
Yeah. Next time, make a scene. I say.
Yeah. What the hey?
Yeah.
I'm not going to make a scene at a shooting range. That's you can quote me on that. That's life. Thanks for having me on. Everyone, have a good night.
That's another good T-shirt.
That's a really good T-shirt. All right, buddy. Well, hey, it's been a blast having you in. Congratulations on the store, even though you've had it a little while. But congratulations with the growth. And
do you want to introduce your wife on air here before we go?
No, she's gonna. Oh, you just got yourself in trouble.
Well, thank you for that, by the way. And this is my wife, Samantha Martensen.
They can't see her.
Thank you for coming, Samantha.
Of course.
And for supporting at San Diego Guns, one of the best shops in San Diego.
Well, let me just, if you don't mind me, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Grab that mic over there. So, before you met this guy, were you a shooter?
No. I had gone shooting once in college with
Okay.
a friend, but I didn't really have a lot of extensive knowledge.
Right.
It's more of had interest. I had a Second Amendment like agreement.
Sure.
But yeah, not anything before him.
So how many years you been doing this now?
With Dallas, we've
Yeah.
been together 8.5 years now.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what do you think from day one walking into the gun store and today?
Oh my gosh. It's like unrecognizable. I
Yeah.
mean, he went from displaying some personal guns so that he had stuff on the walls and people could see inventory and have examples of what he had available to order. But he's gone from that to having guns on the walls and quite a, extensive customer base. And so I couldn't be more proud of him.
Yeah. It's kind of like, you start your business in the garage.
Yeah.
And then you outgrow the garage. You go to a little, next thing you know, yeah.
He used to close the shop to go across the street and grab a burrito on lunch break when he was working by himself for years. And he's gone from that to now having a staff and being able to support other people. So it's been a transformation. And
Well,
he's
How much have you, like your body of knowledge around guns, how much has that grown?
I'm sorry.
You're like the amount of that you know about guns, how much has that grown? Are you ever surprise yourself? Like, I can't believe I just said that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's been plenty of times conversationally I'll spout something off. He'll be like, "Oh, you do listen." I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely. I've picked up a thing or two over the years."
That's awesome. So cute. Well, it's just fantastic having you guys in. I'm sure we'll have you in again, especially when anything exciting's coming up. And again, the website one more time.
www.sandiegoguns.com.
There you go. Down there in Mission Gorge, folks. Don't go down. Check them out. It'll be fun. Hey, folks, if you want to help us out, subscribe to our show. Give us a 5-star review. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify. Jeez, we're everywhere. And when you have a chance and you're out bopping around, support our sponsors, San Diego County, Orange County, and Inland Empire gun owners. You can join those guys. The Dillon Law Group, PRMI Mortgage, Sage Tree Digital Marketing, Seal One, Leo Hamill's Fine Jewelry, San Diego Flight Training International, and our newest partner, U.S. Concealed Carry Association. Can't thank Joe Germisi, Michael Schwartz, Michael Schwartz,
Close.
Sam the Gunman, Action Jackson, he's on the East Coast, he will be back, and our wonderful board op, Brandon Thomas, FM 96.1 AM 1170.
The answer.